The last time was, yeah, that was in November.
Yes.
No,
I can run and go get her.
not even. I through many calls that I said, you need to curriculum and training. And be there, because you didn't have that over. That's a elementary school. But he did sit me down. So it's simple. So we're like, I don't even know if they had. You know, it's mostly obviously it's college. They're not. Yeah. But
Because they want,
Ding, ding, ding.
Not ours. We know how most understand to vote.
But you know,
And you know who's running on that.
I know, but I saw it this afternoon.
actually college usually has.
Almost there.
What negative thing about that? There's so.
We got
Password.
that solid signage and the building that we went.
And you're just like,
Yes. The one is the building. It is. House.
Okay, hello, everybody. I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. So welcome back to the BCAC. Mike will be here momentarily. I'm gonna go ahead and get us started today. I think the first question is to Esmeralda, right here. Do we post the public notice? Yes, ma'am. Posted on Friday. And I don't believe that we're doing a roll call out loud because we have the virtual roll call. So if you need assistance, I think in the chat or Esmeralda can help you if you're in person. Right?
Yes, make sure you guys sign in the virtual attendance form. That way we know you're here. Both you and online, please.
All right. So our agenda for this meeting, we're gonna do a recap of the last meeting rather quickly. We're gonna then work through the analysis of the next group, couple of groups, maybe 3 groups, depending on how far we get. And then we'll talk about our next steps from there. So in the last meeting, we analyzed and reviewed vote centers in both group 1 and group 2. So it was the first 100 vote centers. In group 1, those were the 50.
Can y'all please put yourself on mute?
Thank you. So the first group was the 50 locations with the highest turnout in the last, average highest turnout in the last May elections. Out of those 50, we voted to tentatively accept 43 of them and potentially reject 7. Those were mostly based upon the locations themselves not being available. And the second group, it was the 51 through 100 highest turnout locations. And of those, we voted to tentatively accept 47 and tentatively reject 3 of them. And you have, I believe, a printout with all of that information. And it's also available online on the website link that was provided in the email. Okay. So since the last meeting, we did some updates based on feedback. So we created an interactive tool thanks to Kevin over here in our GIS department. So that's accessible online for everybody, and it has the ability to filter the vote centers by their groupings, and we've included information like historical turnout, what we know of construction status of locations, any survey outcomes. I believe we now to date have surveyed 170-ish locations.
Yeah.
About 170 locations. If we had any associated costs with the locations, Previous elections that I completed on there, our estimated capacity either based on our analysis of the survey information, or if we haven't surveyed it, based on their highest turnout from one of the last 10 elections. We also included registered voter information, so the number of registered voters that are within that 3/4 mile radius. And then also we did 1.44, which is kind of the average travel distance that people would do in this election, as well. So I hope everybody's had a chance to kind of look at that. Toggle around it, we're gonna use it during the presentation today to do our zooming and talking about specific locations. And also in the room, you all have spreadsheets with that information attached. I believe those are also available online to view. So just to review what our methodology is before we jump into the evaluation, so we're all on the same page. So we're gonna start with continue with the 50 grouping of locations. So we're gonna start with locations 101 through 150. We'll go on from there. The green dots on the map are locations that have been surveyed. They have a passing grade and they're available to work to the best of our knowledge. The light green dots are locations that have not been surveyed but are available and we've used in the past. Anything that's indicated with an orange dot is a location where there is another one within 0.5 miles of that location.
0.5 miles, right?
No, 0.75, so 3/4 of a mile.
Okay.
And then the red dots are locations that have either been disqualified by a survey or have just indicated they're not available. So we'll discuss those as well.
I have a question. I had, in Addison, the town of Addison, we had two locations, Fire Station 1 and Fire Station 2. And then I didn't want to use those and we want to use the conference center for early voting and election day voting.
Okay.
Just one site. I didn't find it on the list and it was surveyed and it was, and so it's not on this list.
I believe the conference center we have not used yet, correct?
You've used it several years before, but not recently.
So that would be when I think at the end, when we're looking for where we need to add a location, that's when that location would come up. Because right now we're looking at turnout, high and low from the May election.
Okay, so
we'll be
because it's a new, okay.
Yep, new locations will be added to the end of it.
Okay, good, because I don't want the fire station used ever again.
And those are both marked as rejected. We'll actually get to that one as well.
Okay, thank you. I just want to be sure.
So part of the process today is we're gonna do as we did last meeting. So as we go through, we'll look at the overview of the group of 50, just to kind of talk about the locations that are indicated in the green colors at that time. And determine if there's a tentative, yes or no for those locations. We'll move on and pinpoint any red locations that are in that 50 and talk about them. And then, we will look at the entire 150 locations. And so either the ones that are green at that point, from our previous decisions or from the next 50 decisions that we're making. Anything that's new that's red, so that wasn't already discussed last meeting, but's in the next group of 50 that we've added on that is red, we're gonna go ahead and discuss. And then we'll also zoom into any pairs of orange. So what you may see is a location we already discussed previously may now come up for discussion again, because now there's a location that's within that 3/4 mile range. Okay. I think that's it. So a bit of PowerPoint. I'm gonna exit out of this. And we're gonna go ahead and let Kevin share this screen. Yeah. And first, let me just pause and ask if there's any other questions before we kind of jump in and get started on the next group. And as well, I'm assuming you're memory online, right? So just for the overview in terms of seeing the big picture, we're gonna look at it through this PDF, but as we zoom in, we're gonna transition to the application to get some more information. So this is the group of 150 locations. That includes the first 100 we've already discussed, and then the additional 50 locations that you'll find in your handout. And also if you're filtered to those 150 online. And so we're currently looking at this in the moment to talk about the ones that are green and light green. Those are the ones that have been accepted or tentatively accepted according to our information that they're available. There's nothing within the 3/4 miles up to this point. So I think the first question is, does anybody want to move to tentatively accept these locations moving forward? Is there any discussion? Any questions? Okay, Donnie?
Again, we're talking about.
Green and
Yeah,
light green.
right.
Yep. All right, so we have a move in a second. Yeah. Any discussion, everyone good, vote? Want to go ahead and vote?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, there is a cat, let me just look at this. Nope, okay. I think that we're gonna go ahead and tentatively accept all of the green, and if surveys come out of that, that there's a concern about that, then we'll go ahead and revisit those after that, or if they come up in discussion for a later time. So then I think the next step is Kevin's gonna go ahead and open up the application. Now, in this group of the 150, there are no new red locations. And so from 101 to 150. So from 101 to 150, there's no locations that are red, so we can go ahead and skip over those. And we're gonna start with the pairs of orange. So the first location that we're gonna look at, we're gonna go to Vote Center, Northridge Presbyterian Church. It's line number,
Vote center number.
Vote Center 2072.
It's gonna be this very.
I don't know how to send it.
No, nothing's being shared up here.
No.
Sorry.
It's line 105.
I'm gonna have to keep that location. Ah,
And. Sorry, just one moment, gotta share the application. All right. So we are currently looking at line 105, and in the circle, we're also going to have Vote Center 2071, which is Lakewood Elementary School. So just for comparison, Lakewood Elementary School, we previously reviewed in group 1. It was part of the green decisions that were made, and now it's back because it's within 0.75 miles of another location. In 2022, there was a decision for Lakewood to be closed and Northridge to be remaining open. They actually have not been used together in an election since March of 2020, so we have toggled between the two.
is Lakewood Elementary School available? Because it has been under construction.
To the best of my knowledge,
It's back.
it has not been, we've not been told it's not available.
And Dallas ISD recommends that it's available.
So in 2020 through May 21, we used Lakewood. From November 21 to May 22, we used Northridge. In the May election, their turnout was 277 for the Lakewood location and 144 for the Northridge Presbyterian Church. And their turnout in the November 2022 elections was, it was 520 voters for Lakewood Elementary School and 676 voters for Northridge Church. We have surveyed the Northridge Presbyterian Church and gave it a score of 99% out of 100 in terms of the survey score. Yeah.
I'd really like to move to close the Lakewood Elementary School due to the traffic issues around the elementary school during voting hours.
A question on that. If we're,
I thought we were talking about Presbyterian Church.
they're coupled together.
We're talking about both of them together.
Well, the spring elections, the city and the school, they're all on Saturday, correct? So that wouldn't be a problem with the schools. Just FYI. Right.
Yeah.
Good evening, welcome home.
But it looks like even considering that, the numbers are not low.
Right, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. The only thing, comment, Bonnie, I appreciate your comments. I would just encourage you to speak up so that people at home can hear you, because you were kind of talking with Bonnie a little bit. Go ahead.
I was just not knowing the numbers from, I don't know what the numbers were from Lakewood Elementary School. Last year, you said it was 520 in November. Is that correct?
The November turnout was 520 at Lakewood and 676 at Northridge.
Well, in that case, we should probably keep them both open.
Agreed. Yeah.
Second that.
Sorry, I was behind for a second.
So is that a motion?
Yes.
What was the turnout for the May elections on those locations?
So they haven't been used at the same time in the May election. But for the Lakewood Elementary School, which was used in May 21, the turnout was 277. And when Northridge Presbyterian Church was used in May of 22, the turnout was 144.
Okay, those are more realistic numbers versus a November election.
We have a motion.
Yes,
Motion.
And so.
I moved
That
to both of those
to
locations
keep both
open.
locations open.
Please.
Any discussion?
Why they weren't used.
Nothing that I have in my notes is like likely availability.
I have a note that it was under construction last year when we were looking at boat centers.
Question, could you repeat how far apart they are from each other? Or how much of a distinction there is between the two?
I only have the information that they're within 3/4 of a mile of each other.
It seems that they're underutilized for the May election, but great for the November election. So is there a way that you could just use them for November and not for the May? Or use only one for the May?
Exactly.
They're.
It's been a motion. I suppose that's a possibility, but we do have a motion on the floor. And that's to keep both of them. And I would just comment that we are, just a reminder, that at this point in time, we are still only, what, 100? I mean, we're at number 101. And so we are still very high turnout locations. And so from my perspective, my unofficial opinion, and not being a member of this body, is that we're still at high turnout locations. I mean, and in my opinion, shouldn't be looking to close things down that are used well.
Is it a high turnout for the May elections and the runoff elections also?
You have to remember that all turnout is low in municipal elections compared to November elections. Lakewood is an area where people vote. People vote in their municipals and they do vote in the general. So it is a high area. So I agree that them both.
Yeah, I agree. Relative to the number of people who do turn out. They're both high.
Absolutely.
Any other discussion? No more discussion. All of those in favor of the motion to keep both locations signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed by the
Aye.
same sign? And the motion carries. Okay.
Great. Next, group that we're gonna discuss, we're gonna look at vote center B1005, which is line number 111. Application is paired with line number 54, which is Forest Meadows Junior High School, which we did discuss previously in the last meeting.
What is that vote center number?
B1005 and B1004, and we're looking at line number 111 and line number 54. So line number 54 was discussed previously, and we made the decision to keep that location. Line number 111, which is New Mount Zion Baptist Church, we have completed a survey and surveyed it at 92.4% forward. Both have been used in nearly all elections. In the last 10 elections, Forest Meadows was not used in November because it was under construction. Their average turnout in the May elections is 223 for Forest Meadows and 140 for New Mount Zion Baptist Church. And then in November 22, only, like you said, only the one location was open, B1005, and had 518 voters.
I move that we keep both of them.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we keep both of these locations. Any discussion? So all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next.
All right. So next we're gonna be looking at line 115, Owenwood Farm and Neighbor Space. And it's coupled with line 148, which is SS Connor Elementary School. So both of these were reviewed in 2022 in the VCAC meeting, and we made the decision at that point to keep Owenwood Farm and Neighbor Space and not use SS Connor Elementary School. They both have been surveyed. Owenwood Farm and Neighbor Space surveyed at 84.5%. The concern there was the parking lot condition is a little rough. It's a little gravelly, probably a little difficult to navigate for accessibility, and the doorway to the voting room measures smaller than we prefer. SS Connor Elementary School surveyed at a 99.7%. Owenwood has been used in 100% of the elections, in the last 10 elections. And SS Connor was not used in 2022 or in the July 20 election. For May elections, their turnout was 134 out by average for Owenwood and 105 for SS Connor. And in the last election, it was 332 voters. That was in November 332 for Owenwood and 229 for SS Connor.
Is that street that goes north and south?
Is that Jim Miller?
It's Green Meadow, what are you talking about here?
That's a busy street. And you have people coming from either side of Green Meadow to vote there. So they are walkable neighborhoods, and they do have people that walk to the poll. So I would move that we keep both of those locations open.
It's been motioned that we keep both of these locations. Motion is seconded that we keep both of these
I object.
locations.
I object. These are right across the street from each other. This is the May elections. I mean, we don't need 1,000 voting centers open. And that's part of what we're doing here is finding obvious ones to close because these could obviously be combined. They're across the street from each other.
Okay, so I was about to say that we participated in discussion, and if there's.
Yeah, I would strike the Connor one because
Those
of
who are on, can you identify yourself?
Kevin Hale, Libertarian Party, sorry.
Please. Go ahead.
I agree. This is Susan Fountain. I think that we should close Connor and only have Owenwood. I've been in those two locations and they're very, very close to each other.
Would someone please review the survey score for Connor? Because I'm looking at the screen as it scrolls and Owenwood is showing, what was their survey score, 99? Were they both the same on the survey score?
No, Owenwood was 84.5 and Essex Connor was a 99.
Okay, and the reason Owenwood was an 84, was it the accessibility of the voting center or the voting room's door was not quite ADA accessible? Was that what you were saying?
The primary reason for the score was because of the parking lot condition.
Okay,
And then additionally, the voting room door measured small for what our preference is. I think Kyle had some more time.
And then DISD has informed us that they recommend closure of Connor.
okay.
So that's an added note that Dallas ISD has actually recommended the closure of Connor. They did say it's unavailable, but their recommendation is that we don't use it and we use Owenwood instead.
I'd like to rescind my motion, please, with in consideration of the new information, Kyle.
I don't want to do that. Then I make the motion. I think we should keep them both.
Too late, Elaine.
No, it's not. We haven't voted.
No, I'm
It's
just,
not too late to rescind. I move that we follow the DISD recommendation and close Connor for this election. My name is Kevin Hale, Libertarian Party of Dallas County.
Second.
Second.
There's been motioned and seconded that we close. Connor.
Point of order, we need to dispose of the previous motion.
Yes, you rescinded it.
I withdrew the motion.
Really not.
What are we supposed to do? I withdrew the motion, it's not there.
She rescinded.
Are we in discussion now?
So we are in discussion now. Go ahead, Elaine.
Okay, so unless I'm not reading this correctly, it looks like the numbers are reasonable and high for both locations. So that's why I do not agree that they should be closed. Elaine Campbell, CN. My recommendation is to keep them both open because unless I am looking at the numbers incorrectly, it does appear that they're both used. So I don't believe that we should close people's voting location they do to go.
I disagree. This is Susan Fountain. I think that they're used because they are both open. And I think that voters could easily attend the vote at the Owenwood location. And if the Connor Elementary School doesn't want its school to be used.
Yeah, I think
This is Michelle Hooker from Garland SD. I agree with Susan. The only reason why those two locations are being used and based on what we just received.
Can you all mute yourself if you're not speaking, please?
Yeah, we're getting feedback. Someone's got their mic open. Okay, there we go. Further discussion.
Was there not comment that the reason why during one of the prior elections, Connor received, or was it Owenwood had more votes for past elections because the other one was closed? So does that not prove Susan's point that they're only both being used because they're open? If one was closed, the voters would go to the other location. In addition, we need to respect the wishes of Dallas ISD. If they don't want to use Connor
That does
Elementary.
not prove that. That's an inaccurate.
So let's go ahead and take one at a time.
Okay.
And over here, you have a comment?
Yeah, so my concern in closing Connor is that it's surveyed better than Owenwood when it comes to parking. So if we're closing one, it would be Owenwood. If the Dallas ID doesn't necessarily want, so we should keep both because of the parking situation at Owenwood. If we close Connor, then we're making it harder for parking if we're only depending on that location.
Fine.
Can we negotiate with Owenwood about the parking surface? Maybe we can talk to them because it is a very convenient vote center. for the whole neighborhood. If we can rectify or remediate some of the issues to raise their score, is there another door that is accessible, ADA accessible? Is there a plan to fix the parking lot? That's my questions.
Kyle, do you have any other information from outside the school about, why they feel as though they do?
It doesn't, my information doesn't show me any additional information.
Maybe we can do further visit into those. The SS Connor doesn't want us. I mean, that's kind of a moot point, right?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna force.
No,
SS
we
Connor?
made recommendations based off a desire to not use a location, preferably by either the entity that sent those notes. So based on the last set of votes, we rejected vote centers because they did not want us there. So if that's the case with Connor, and Dallas ISD is saying they do not want us in their facility, and Owenwood is still a frequently used center, we should go ahead and motion to close Connor and maintain the use of Owenwood. And as far as who's going to fix their service, that's up to the location. This organization cannot influence what they do with their concrete. And as part of a paying entity who serves on this advisory council, I don't want to have to pay more, and I don't want my school district to pay more to Dallas County Elections to offer them money to fix a parking lot. That's up to them to do. And I don't see
Thank you,
how that's
Michelle.
remotely our discussion point. That's slightly ridiculous for us to go and try and negotiate that. That's not even our place.
I just want to make one.
Thank you,
comment.
Michelle. This is Susan. I have driven in that parking lot personally, and it's not a pristine, brand new, smoothly paved road, but there's no craters in it. It's just not perfect, and there's no reason why you can't drive in it. I grew up in a small town with oyster shells for streets, so it's not unnavigable. Let's be reasonable, though. I've driven in it personally. I know what condition it is in, and you're right, it's not perfect, but it's not a reason to disqualify the voting center in favor of somebody who doesn't really want us there. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Alameda, you still there? You have a comment? Orlando? Yes, ma'am.
You muted. He's probably trying to get unmuted. He's from Dallas ISD, I believe, right?
Yes.
So I believe he's gonna fill us in a little bit.
Somebody talking? You calling somebody?
Orlando, we're waiting for, I think he had his hand raised, I think
Yeah.
he's probably muted.
He put his hand down, so. Hebron?
I have a question, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. If I know that there's another location that's in whatever way viewed to be better, and it's less hassle on me to stay open, why wouldn't I push our consideration towards that other facility? The problem is, no, I'm not talking, I'm speaking in general. I'm not addressing persons. If SS Connor has the better score, their objection has to be based on something. We don't have that information, whatever that is. It could simply be, we like less people on our campus. And that could be the reason. But that doesn't, is there, and I guess this is a question, is there a soft no just for May, but they're willing to be open for November? Or they just want to be out altogether? Because then I don't think we should endorse entities picking and choosing which elections they want to participate in. So I think for this particular one, I think there's some more information that needs to be obtained before we can make a credible decision about this site.
I think Keeper, if I may, Keeper makes a good point in that, just to remind everyone of the law is that, you know, if we choose to use the school, they have to let us use it. Now, having said that, we want to be good partners and they may have very good reasons for us not to use it, but just, you know, if, as a school district could say, I don't want to use any of our locations, and then we'd be in big trouble. And so, I think that there is this negotiating factor, and maybe in this case, maybe it is one of those cases where we need to talk a little bit more. And I will remind you guys also, you know, the methodology that we're using. We can pause a pair and come back to it and get more information for you the next meeting, if that's your choice.
And I just want to provide a little clarity. Dallas ISD has indicated the location is available, but they recommend to close it. So they have not indicated that they will not make it available or any unwillingness to do so. They said it's available, but they recommend to close that and use Owenwood instead. So it's not.
Have they given us a reason?
He is trying to, he is online, but he said, I'm unmuted, but we can't hear him, so I'm not, we're having some technical difficulties.
Have a comment. Eli Campbell-Siak. So some of the information that I want to know, especially before closing an elementary school, is are there parents of special needs or disabled children who they can only vote if maybe that school, because their child feels comfortable there and they're able, and they have to bring their child with them to vote. We've had that situation.
Yes.
Is that the situation for this, especially since it's an elementary school? I would want to understand that. I want to understand for the neighborhood, is there a reason why? Because again, people voted both places. So the data, I think, is a good starting point, but I definitely would want to have more information like that before deciding.
Michael, I moved to table this discussion for these two until the next session so we can get that data, that information from DISG. Perhaps the bond construction and the campus won't be available.
I second that. We're getting bogged down. We need to move on and get more information on this location.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we table this, the previous motion for this pair. Is there any discussion on the motion to table? No discussion. All those in favor of tabling this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, if motion passes, we're gonna go ahead and table that pair and try to provide you with some more information and get back to you next meeting.
Okay. So the next group we're going to look at is line 116, Vote Center 2003, WT White High School. And that one is paired with line 97 from group 2 from last week, which is Nathan Adams Elementary School.
What's the vote center?
2004, 2003, and 2004.
Mr. Lawrence Weiner, do you have a question?
You want to give us a background on this?
So we did discuss in 2022, the BCAC did Nathan Adams Elementary School Vote Center 2004 was up for discussion. And we made a decision to keep it at that time. It was last week in the green group that we approved. Both locations have been used in nearly all elections. Nathan Adams was only not in the last 10 elections. Nathan Adams Elementary School was only not used in a July election in 2020. We do not have those locations surveyed as of yet. The May average turnout for, excuse me, Nathan Adams Elementary School is 155 voters, and for WTY High School is 134. Then in November of 22, Nathan Adams Elementary School had 546 voters, and WTY had 389.
Wow, good turnout.
Dallas ISD has informed us that both of those campuses are available.
I moved to keep, this is Kevin Hale, Libertarian
Keep
Party.
both of
Yeah,
these
maybe keep.
campuses for future use.
Give me 1 second, Kevin. What were you saying, Bonnie?
There's been a motion, Bonnie made a motion to keep both of these locations.
Second.
I heard, and then I just heard a second. Any discussion?
Yes. Is there a recommendation from your department? To keep both or to close one?
We have no recommendation. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of keeping both of these locations signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay. The next location we're going to look at is line 145, which is Richland Elementary School. That location is Richland Campus Dallas College, which is V1029. Yeah, line 117, Richland Campus Dallas College, V number 1029, which is paired with line 145, V number 1503, Richland Elementary School. So,
Richland campus.
yes, V 1029.
Yeah.
Yep, 1029 and 1503. Lines 117 and 145 on your sheet. So Richland's Campus Dallas College is a early voting site for starters. Both locations have been used in nearly all elections. Richland Elementary School was not used in the July 20 election. We have not surveyed either of these locations yet. For the May elections, Richland Campus Dallas College on election day saw an average of 132 voters. Richland Elementary School saw 107. In the November 22 election, Richland Dallas College had 1,221 voters, and Richland Elementary School had 512.
I'd like to make a motion, we keep both of these locations open.
I say.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded that we keep both of these locations open. Do I hear any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, pair.
The next pair is line 120 on the sheet, which is Vote Center 1032, Northwood Hills Elementary School. That location is paired with line number 2, Friends Park Library, Vote Center 2052. So Friends Park Library, we had visited in the the second grouping. We've made the decision to keep it. It's also an early voting location, as well as we have surveyed it at 97%.
Move that we accept both of them. Northridge Elementary's on a very busy street. I mean, active, whatever. And I think they shouldn't even be paired except proximity, but kind
I
of.
want to add in, I'm sorry, there's actually a third location that needs to be considered in this grouping. Line number 80 as well, Vote Center 2051. So there's 3 locations in that radius that we're going to be looking at. Just for clarification. And we did review that location last meeting and made the decision to keep it as well. So the new location would be Northwood Hills Elementary School to look at these as a group.
You keep all of them, is that what we're considering that now?
We're considering all 3 of them because they are all within that 0.75 month.
Yeah, like high vote turnout.
So Bonnie, consider, now there's 3. Do you want to keep
Yes.
your same motion?
Move
3.
to keep all 3.
Yes. 5 seconds. Did you make them?
Yes,
I
ma'am, I move to keep all 3, yes.
It's been motioned and seconded that we keep all 3 of those locations under consideration, Bonnie Wells.
Yeah. Spring, the elementary, Spring Elementary, whatever. Just outside that circle, is there a closer one? Or it might be close to Brett's, but is there another one that they could use? That's pretty far. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Francis like that.
Is there any further discussion?
They know that.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of keeping all three of these locations signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next.
So next on our list is going to be Vote Center 1047, which is line number 132. And that vote center is paired with Lockwood Branch Library, Vote Center 1052, line number 7. So we visited Lockwood Branch Library in the first group, in the first meeting, made the decision to keep it. We also talked about it 2022 and made the decision to keep it. B1047. And it is also an early voting site. Martha T. Riley Elementary School is the newcomer to this conversation for this group. We decided in 2022 as the VCAC to keep it then as well. We did survey that location and it scored a 97.7%. We've used both locations in the last 10 elections 100% of the time. For May elections, Lockwood Branch Library averages 703 voters, while Martha T. Riley averaged 116. And then November 22 election, Lockwood Branch Library saw 1,561 voters and Martha T. Riley saw 292.
I move we keep both of these locations. People leave the Lockwood Library and go over to Martha T. Riley if they're too busy. Yes. And people know that they were right.
I've heard a motion, but I have not heard a second. I heard a second, been motioned and seconded that we keep both of these locations. Is there any discussion? Okay, so all those in favor of the motion to keep both of these locations signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passed. It's paired.
We're going to look at line number 133, Vote Center 2006, Harry C. Withers Elementary School, and that is paired with line number 90, Vote Center 2007, Midway Hills Christian Church. Midway Hills is a rejected location that does not want to be a location any longer, so it's paired, but essentially the pair is rejected, and we haven't done a survey on either of these locations yet.
Oh, I move at this point to keep Harry Winters.
Yeah. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded that we keep the one location and
Harry Withers.
Harry Withers and
Harry C. Withers.
We're just looking at those two and one's closed.
Just those two, and one has already told us they're not available.
and to eliminate the other one that rejected this.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? Go ahead.
In instances where we have a situation where one center says we don't want to be bothered, can we just make it just a process where we just accept the location that exists and hopefully speed this up if this were to occur again?
It's a little tricky though, because what if you get a school that chooses not to when they don't have the right to say no, right? So I'm a little uncomfortable just kind of, whitewashing everything.
And I will tell you moving forward, because I've been kind of working through these, some of those locations are gonna have more than one. So it's not just gonna be the two locations. You'll probably see 3 or 4 on the map as we start to get down in the lower turnout.
All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.
Did you vote?
Oh,
Jeff.
Oh. Okay.
Two batteries.
How about this one?
Yeah.
All right. So the next pair we're gonna look at is gonna be both, line number 134. Vote Center 1020, Ben Million. thank you, elementary school. And line number 50, vote center 1013, North Dallas High. So we saw North Dallas High School in group 1 as a green location because at the time there was nothing surrounding it. In 2022, the VCAC reviewed both of these locations and made the decision to not use North Dallas High School and to keep Ben Milam Elementary School. Neither of them have been surveyed yet. North Dallas High School has been used in 60%, so 6 of the last 10 elections. It was not used from November 2021 through the May elections of 22. And Ben Milam has been used 100% of the time. The average turnout when it was used in the May election for North Dallas was 248, and Ben Milam had 114 voters. In the November 2022 election, the North Dallas High School had 469 voters, and Ben Milam had 1,232 voters.
Can I ask this, Millie Domenech, may I ask why North Dallas wasn't used?
Man, I was like,
Construction.
can you repeat that again? I agree with Dr. Montgomery's comment, but I didn't know what you said. You said it was not used.
So it was not available for use for November 21 and March of 22. And then ahead of the May election, the VCAC met and we made a decision to not use it for those 2 May elections as well.
I really asked, what was?
Okay, yeah, because the reason I asked was, so I understand the construction, but in terms of, locations that are close to each other, because the other location that's really close to North Dallas High School is William B. Travis School, and that is a very inconvenient location. And so people that would normally vote at William B. Travis tend to go to North Dallas. I mean, it's like walking distance. And so I don't know, like, I would hope that we would keep both open. And if we were to close anything that's close to there, I would think it would be Travis, which is right on McKinney Avenue and in a really hard location to find a parking spot.
Can we show where Travis is on the map, please?
Well, I was gonna say that those locations, this location will be visited 4 times hopefully today because it comes paired up with 4 different locations. And so I think that when we get to that Travis location, it will also come and have to make a decision then as well.
There was some question about why North Dallas might not have been used. And I know that they've just finished a lot of construction with the bonds. So
Exactly.
they've been under construction since about with the 2020 election, or bond election.
Is that over now?
They finished.
We did November 22.
And we moved the vote center across the street to the collegiate center. It's not actually in the high school anymore, it's in the collegiate center, which was finished prior to the high school.
Does the ISD have any?
Recommendation.
That the ISD has informed us that they have both those schools are available.
Move that we keep both locations.
Right here, second.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded that we keep both of these locations. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next pair.
Okay. So we're gonna look at line number 135, which is vote center 2510, Yale Elementary School. And that is paired with line 77, which is vote center 2509, Fair Church. Fair Church was in group 2. It was part of the greens that we approved in the second group. We have surveyed that location and the survey score was 95.7%. Yale Elementary School, we have not surveyed yet. In the last 10 elections, Fair Church was used 10 out of 10 times, and Yale Elementary School was used 9 out of 10 times. It was not used in the July 20 election. And their average turnout for the May elections was 180 for Fair Church and 115 for Yale Elementary. In the November 22 election, it was 774 for Fair Church and 506 for Yale Elementary.
I move we keep both of those.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded that we keep both of these locations. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Next pair.
Okay, we're gonna look at line 137, so consider 4006. I'm gonna say DeGolier Elementary School. DeGolier. And line number 10, both that are 2005 Marsh Lane Baptist Church. So we did visit Marsh Lane in our first group, and it was a great location at the time. There was no location near it. It is an early voting site. Both locations have been surveyed. Marsh Lane scored a 95.7 survey score, and the elementary school scored 93.8. In 2022, VCAC reviewed DeGolier Elementary and made the decision not to use it for the May elections. So Marsh Lane has been used in 9 out of the last 10 elections. It was not used in May of 2019. And DeGolier was used in 8 out of the 10. It was not used in the May 7th nor the May 24th elections. Turnout for May elections, Marsh Lane had an average of 613 voters. DeGolier Elementary School averaged 111 voters. And in the November 22 election, it was 1,430 voters at Marsh Lane and 285 at DeGolier.
A lot of things, so I apologize. I think you said earlier on that there was a decision to not use something.
In 2022, when the VCAC was reviewed some locations that were in the half mile, the decision was made not to use DeGolier for those May elections.
Do we have information on just distance or whether other reasons? If you don't have that.
I believe, if I remember correctly, it was the numbers. And we just decided that. DISD?
The DISD has informed us that they have made DeGoyer available. Or they recommend that it's available.
Now. So I think maybe it was not available when we didn't use it.
We used it in the November election, so I'm not, we used it in March and November, but we did not use it in either May election of 2022.
November.
November 22, there were 285 voters at DeGolier and 1,430 at Marsh Lane.
In May of 2021, it was 111 at DeGoyer.
And 668 at Marsh Lane.
I believe if DISD has said, yes, we can use DeGolier, it can be a good overflow center for the other busier vote centers. So I moved to keep both of them open.
It's been seconded that we keep both of these locations open. Is there any discussion?
Does the election department or anything give the judges anything, like at Fritz Park, you know, if you have a lot, then send them over to Spring Creek?
Yes.
I mean, the judges probably know that, right?
And by law, we also have posted on the door, we have the nearest 4 polling places or vote centers and shows the distance.
Also, when we put the wait time, now they can see online what's green, what's orange, and you can go to the nearest one.
But for those who don't use online and stuff,
Yeah.
but they have both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably only one person.
All right, next time you gonna sit up there.
Is there any discussion? No, we have a motion, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Any discussion on this pair? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. Next pair.
All right, so we're gonna move to line number 140, which is vote center 1073, the church at Union Heights. And that is paired with line number 12, which is vote center 1071, Lakewood Branch Library. Lakewood Branch Library was reviewed in the first group as green. We have surveyed it and it scored a 98.4 on the survey. We Lakewood Branch Library has been used in 100% of the last 10 elections. The Church of Junius Heights has been used in 8 of the last 10 elections. It was not used in 2020 in the March or the July election. Turnout for the May elections on average for Lakewood Branch Library is 597 and 110 for the Church of Junius Heights. And in the November 2022 election, there was 1,261 voters at Lakewood Branch Library and 367 at the Church of Junius Heights.
I make a motion to keep both of these locations open. The church is in a very walkable neighborhood, and we have a lot of Hispanic folks that live in that area, and they're very used to going there and voting.
I second.
It's been motioned and seconded that we keep both of these locations. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Hi.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next pair.
All right, so we actually have a group of 3 for the next one. We're gonna look at line 142, which is Lake Highlands Junior High School vote center 2062. And that is grouped with line 40, vote center 2061, Lake Highlands Elementary School. And also line number 3, vote center 2059, which is Adelia Road Branch Library. So.
This is Susan Fountain. I'd like to recommend closing Lake Highlands Junior High strictly because it's only 2, not even 2 blocks. It's
Amen.
less than a block from the Lake Highlands Elementary School.
Amen. Yeah. Second.
Been motioned and seconded that we close Lake Highlands High School, junior high.
Junior high school.
And before we get into discussion, you want to go ahead and finish the background up?
Sure. In 2022, we did review all 3 of these locations. For the May elections, we decided to keep Adelia Road Branch Library, Lake Highlands Elementary School, and to not use Lake Highlands Junior High. And Adelia Road Branch Library has been used consistently as a replacement early voting site. None of these locations have been surveyed at this time. Adelia Road was used in 90% of the elections, the last 10. Lake Highlands Elementary School was used at 100%. And Lake Highlands Junior High was used in 50%. It was not used in March or July of 2020. It was not used in March through all of the May elections of 2022. Average turnout for May elections, Adelia Road was 811. Lake Highlands Elementary is 287. Lake Highlands Junior High was 109. And in the November 2022 election, Adelia Road Branch Library had 1,724 voters. Lake Highlands Elementary had 634 voters, and Lake Highlands Junior High had 175 voters.
Could I also call to your attention that Lake Highlands Junior High is under major construction. They're building a brand new junior high school, and there is no parking.
That is correct. This is Richardson ISD, and yes, Lake Highlands Junior High School is under construction right now, so we probably will not be able to use that.
What's the motion?
Yes, the motion was to close Lake Highlands Junior High.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Yes.
So that we're under discussion for that one.
We're in discussion. So that means that, Lake Highlands Elementary would be open.
In the library.
Adelia Road.
I think
Yes.
there's elementary. There's another elementary school between. Otherwise not.
Down in this group of 50.
Okay.
We'll get to that a
We're
little
asking
later as well.
voters to go across the street, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Walnut Hill Road.
There are crosswalks.
Walnut Hill Road is the one separated.
There are crosswalks go across the street. It's not like a 75.
Right.
Yes, Lake Highlands
That's
Junior
further
High
discussion.
School.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
online.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, the Lake Highlands Junior High School and elementary, they are, very walkable distance. So it's not really, I'm not sure who said it, but it's not like if you're crossing something major. So a lot of people do, a lot of our kids do walk across from there.
Further discussion? Anyone online? Okay. There's been motioned that we close. I can't.
Lake Highlands Junior High School.
Lake Highlands Junior High. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passed. Next group.
Okay. We're gonna look at line number 146, which is Vote Center 1501, Professional Development Center. And line number 82, which is Vote Center 2507, Richardson Heights Elementary School.
Right across from it.
Yeah.
So we visited Richardson Heights Elementary School in group 2, and it was a green dot at that point, so we approved it. And so we're back revisiting it now. It combines with another location. We talked about both of these in 2022, and the BCAC made a decision to close Richardson Heights Elementary School and keep the Professional Development Center. We have not performed surveys on either of these locations at this time. Richardson Heights Elementary School was used in 7 out of the last 10 elections. It wasn't used in July 2020 or either May election in 22. Professional Development Center has been used in all 10. Turnout for these locations for May, the average was 176 voters at Richardson Heights Elementary School and 105 at the Professional Development Center. And in November of 22, there were 410 at Richardson Heights Elementary School and 430 at the Professional Development Center.
I move that we close the Richardson Heights Elementary.
What?
I don't hear a second.
A second.
Second.
Oh.
Been motioned and seconded that we close.
Richardson Heights Elementary School.
Any discussion?
I would,
Lane.
yes, there's discussion. Kevin Hale, Libertarian Party.
We'll see it.
Go ahead, Elaine.
Can you explain really quickly what, this is my concern. So, and I am looking at a November elections. I understand those numbers will be higher. So it says that November 22, for one of them, the number was 410. And then for November 22, the other one was 430. And then it's showing estimated capacity of 469. What exactly does estimated capacity mean?
So when we haven't completed a survey, the estimated capacity is based on the highest turnout election that we've seen at that location in the last 10. So we know we serve this many voters. When we completed a survey, we take the square footage of the room, we look at our equipment being in the room and our processing voters in a certain time, and we estimate the capacity for the flow of traffic coming out of it. So neither of these have been surveyed at this time. So we have served 469 voters in that location and 400 in the other. That's the highest number of voters we've seen.
Okay, so that would mean we would be at risk of one of them not being able to have the flow and take over the flow of the other one. It seems to me that they both need to be open.
Where would be the,
I think that's always to consider.
What is the major street that separates the two?
oh, but there's a traffic light there. I mean, it's not like you're walking across 70.
Well, it kind of is. If you've been down there.
But I mean, there's a traffic light there, so a stoplight.
Okay, I'm done with one.
Kevin's bringing that up on the satellite if you want to take a look.
Across the street.
But I get the point because the numbers are very close, 110 and 430. But the float one is that the other one will be able to take all the other 400. That's tricky.
Walkable neighborhoods on each side.
That's true.
Yeah, so I mean,
Isn't Richardson North Junior High is up that just north of that? That also.
I think the argument can, this is Kevin Hale, the Libertarian Party of Dallas County. I think the argument can be made that both of these are used equally. If I was hearing it correctly, the May turnout was almost identical for each of these locations.
The average May turnout was 176 for one and 105 for the other.
Okay, and I'm assuming that the 105 was the 140th ranked one, right? not the Richardson Elementary.
Correct.
I would vote that we keep the higher ranked location for this May election and keep the other one in our pocket for November.
The motion was to close the professional development center, I believe.
I will keep both of them.
Was yours
Professional.
to keep both of them?
No, keep the professional, close the elementary. Close
I
the-
was opposite of that.
That was the motion. It doesn't look second, and we're in a discussion.
Where is the next closest voting center going to be to that? Because the election in November is going to be so large, I would hate to discourage voters to come in because the lines are too long. If that last numbers that you gave me, 400 and 400 were almost the same.
I'll just remind everyone that this was the tough choice, right? And we talked about this at the end of the last meeting. Should we look at everything together? Or should we just continue to add these 50 layers of 50 and make incremental decisions? And so we're kind of making incremental decisions. And so I don't know that we want to really go there as far as what else is in the area at this point.
What's the ranking, the number, could you repeat that again?
Sure. So Richardson Heights Elementary School was 82 and Professional Development Center was 146.
Which is my point, is that the more popular voting center here seems to be the Richardson Elementary School. And I would vote to keep that one versus closing it.
Okay, I withdraw my motion.
I make a motion to keep both of them.
I misheard that.
Well, we still have a motion to keep. Oh.
Is
With,
the elementary school more popular because it's been around longer and thus the community's more familiar with it? And the development center is newer and it's developing an audience? Is the development center able to capture the population that votes at the elementary school without issue? Or are there logistical concerns at the development center that would preclude, a more expansive role for that community?
My objection originally was that it's just hard to staff a lot of people in these smaller elections. And the argument always is, but they're right across the street from each other, so if you had, I thought we ought to lose one of them.
we have some comments online, I think Melissa wants to read.
So from Dallas ISD from Orlando Alameda, he's indicated that from a fiscal responsibility standpoint, it does not make sense to keep both vote centers. And Kevin Hill, he is from the Libertarian Party, he agreed and said he wants to use a higher ranked location.
Wes Bowen has his hand up.
Yeah, could we see the turnout history for Richardson Heights on the screen share, please?
Roll through your.
That's right.
He's pulling it up, Wes.
Got it. Thank you.
That's why I think this should.
Yeah, I would say
One of those two
like-
on point. No, one of those two on point, no. They're both on
Floyd.
Okay, both on Floyd.
It does look to me like professional development should be the one closed.
This is Richardson ISD, and what I can say though is that we do have some issues sometimes because that is our professional development center for our teachers and staff. So depending on whether, I think the last time we had kind of concerns was between the locations actually where it's actually gonna be at the gym or in the auditorium, and during that day there was also something going on, so that was always kind of an issue with the PDC, the Professional Development Center. So those are my 2 cents on that. I know from our points of view that that's kind of where we're at.
Further discussion. So someone remind me what the motion was. Was it Bonnie? It's by with your motion.
Yeah, I think the
So
original
they-
was to close Richardson, but after discussion, I'm not sure if she wants to rescind her motion or if she wants to
Bonnie,
put it up to a vote. It's up to her, but I think that's where we are before you can accept my motion to keep the other one.
So I don't know, I'm confused now because it looks like there's one rescinded motion and two different motions.
Which one is on the?
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear the one.
The motion on the floor is to close the Richardson Elementary School right now, which I would oppose.
Hi, I haven't been here, that's why. I was-
Yeah.
So those people that, I mean, do they do the D&D Mazda, so you pick 5 things?
Yeah, that's the 5 things.
Okay.
What for their place over there was they thought was the grill, which is your base of rice,
You can't hear the online speaker.
Rice, organic, frita is for hummus. And then you get how many of these?
Online speaker, the person speaking online, can you maybe get a little closer to your mic and speak? Okay.
Talking to each other.
So I don't believe the motion's been rescinded.
She did.
And so
Elaine gave a motion.
Elaine made a motion to keep both locations. I don't know if I heard a second.
It's not that.
It's been seconded. So the motion on the floor is to keep both locations. Is there any discussion?
If my understanding, both those facilities are Richardson ISD facilities. Does Richardson ISD have a recommendation?
Yeah, the professional building.
Miss David, is David on this evening?
Hello,
Mr. Page?
hello. Hi, David Pate is not at this meeting. This is Vera Gutierrez from the elections office in Richardson ISD. And my comments were just that the PDC is, we would like for that to essentially close because that's kind of where we use our professional development days. And so our staff does use that area. Those, I think the last time there was some issues with the actual usage of the space. And so in preparation for the May election at this point, I could say that they will be using the spaces you normally used for voting on May for our summer school program. So that's the information I have at this point. So I think I heard that they have not been surveyed yet, both locations. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's a lot of schools in Richardson that's not been surveyed. I'd like to volunteer.
That would be great because I have heard, I feel like a lot of our schools have, but I'm still hearing back from them that they have not been contacted yet.
Get the motion on the.
We are under discussion. The motion was to keep, it was motion and seconded to keep both locations and we're under discussion for that. So further discussion.
This is Susan Fountain. I'd like to ask what was the reasoning for closing the Richardson Heights Elementary School rather than the Professional Development Center? Can you repeat that?
Vice versa.
Speaking about in 2022, we chose, the VCAC made the decision not to use Richardson Heights Elementary School and to use the Professional Development Center. I don't have any notes to the discussion around that decision, but I know that was the decision.
I think this is Bonnie Wells, CX. I think for fiscal responsibility, plus the recommendation, the person at the professional, there's a lot of activity there. I recommend that we close the Richardson ISD Professional Development Center and keep Floyd, or
Richardson Heights.
Thank you, Richardson Elementary.
So Bonnie, you're speaking
Well, we
again.
have a
So
motion.
you're speaking against the motion, Bonnie, because we have a motion on the floor.
Just saying, I'm speaking against the motion. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
I would like to say, I hope we keep both of them because clearly they're both equally used when they're both open. And I don't see any place for people to go, so we will be disenfranchising voters if we only keep one.
I'm requesting a no vote.
Any further discussion? Okay, so the motion is to keep both of these locations, Richardson Heights Elementary and Professional Development Center. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay. Nay.
I believe the
Nay.
noes have it. So the motion fails.
This is Kevin Hale, Libertarian Party of Dallas County. I move that we close the Professional Development Center and keep open the Richardson Elementary School.
Second.
Been motion and second that we,
Close the Professional Development Center and keep Richardson Heights Elementary School open.
any discussion? I will just make a comment. Keep in mind that we may be getting to this point where we're starting to consider, we're exploring this, dual model versus, single model. And so I think you should start be thinking about that now, because we're getting to that point of, oh, boy, do I really want to lose both those locations in a presidential election? Maybe I could for a smaller, 9% turnout election, but for presidential, I don't know. So, I think as we're moving down, we may revisit some of this, if we have a single model versus a dual model. We may get to the point where we look at things as a single model and say, well, I don't know if we got enough capacity. And maybe we should increase our capacity by having some of these open versus closed, so just keep that in mind. I mean, this isn't necessarily a one and done. This is kind of a review, taking a look again, making sure we're being as thorough as possible.
Michael, thank you for giving them that information. Just for clarification purposes, since I haven't been able to attend these before, this is for the May election, right? Or is this going to be considered for November as well?
Well, when we talked about this at some point, a couple weeks ago, and the suggestion was, we're potentially have a dual model, explore a dual model, where you would explore the May election first, and then explore a November election after that.
Got it. Okay.
But that motion was voted down. And the motion was to consider that we're really not going to head down one of those paths. We're exploring both models at this point.
I see. Thank you for clarifying that.
So the motion, once again, was to
Keep the Richardson Heights Elementary School open and close Professional Development Center.
all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Hand raised, Dory Crenshaw.
Or under
Yes. Yes, that's still discussion, please. Dory Crenshaw with the League of Women Voters. I'm against this. I think you need to keep both of the facilities open, basically for two reasons. One, you have not demonstrated there's sufficient capacity at either location to absorb the high turnout at the other location. And with respect to the scheduling problems, the elections are known literally, the dates of the elections are known literally years in advance. And surely a good scheduling person at the Professional Development Center can reduce, if not eliminate, potential conflicts. So I think we should keep both open, and I will be voting no on the motion to close professional development.
Thank you. Sorry for not catching
Thank
your
you,
comment
Dory.
earlier. So we had a vote and for all those in favor, and now the vote, all those opposed to the motion.
Nay.
Nay. I think we need to do a roll call vote on this one. Is the chair just-
Can we come back to this particular one? Or is this
We
something
have
that you
to
have?
finish the vote on this
Oh,
one
I
first.
see. I see what you're saying. Okay.
So I'm going to ask Esmeralda to take a roll call of those in attendance. And,
We
and
do
so I'm
get
going to repeat the
ti-
motion one more time.
Okay.
Just make sure we have clarity.
So we're voting to keep vote center 2507, which is Richardson Heights Elementary School open, and to close vote center 1501, which is the Professional Development Center.
And this is just for the May elections, correct?
That is not, at this point, it is to keep it open or to close it. The determination of a model where it's, a small model, large model, or all for one has not been decided by this body yet.
Okay, we'll revisit it in November and re-vote it in.
Esmeralda's going to roll.
So this can be reviewed. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I do agree with Dory with what you're saying. I understand. And there is a turnout. Our community does go to both locations. I understand that point too.
Okay, and I'm gonna call everybody who signed in the attendance form. If you didn't sign in, I'm not gonna call your name.
Speak up a bit. Esmeralda.
The mic is on. Yes, I'm gonna call your name if you signed in the attendance form. If you didn't sign in on the attendance form, your name's not gonna get called.
I'm sorry, this is Susan Fountain. I don't know, I am unable to sign in on the attendance form. I've been in the meeting, and I'd like to be recognized manually if I can't get in there to sign in on the attendance
Susan, we'll go ahead
form.
and sign you in.
Thank you very much.
And then, so.
Could I ask for the same thing?
When the roll, your name is called, you're for the motion, give a yes. If you're against the motion, give a no.
I'm just requesting to repeat the motion one more time.
Wes Bowen has his.
So the motion is to keep vote center 2507 Richardson Heights Elementary School and to stop using vote center 1501 for the Professional Development Center for Richardson ISD.
Okay. Bonnie Wells, yay or nay?
Sorry, I would say that again.
Bonnie Wells, are you for it or against it?
Motion.
Keep the Richardson Heights Elementary School and to not keep the Professional Services Center.
Yes.
Harris Long. Harris Long. Cindy Ross. Cindy Ross.
Just went to the bathroom.
Elaine Campbell. No. Michelle Hogan.
Yes.
Cynthia Ogwin. Cynthia Ogwin. Dwight D.
Yes.
Stephanie Mays.
Yes.
Tracy Alvin Dinger.
No.
Amy Niemer. Amy Niemer.
No.
Hebron Alexander.
No.
Jason Lee. Andrea Barrero.
No.
Shanae Jennings.
No.
Mona Lisa Galicia.
No.
Aaron Moore. Stacy Henderson.
This is Aaron. I'm not a voting member.
Stacy Henderson,
No.
Mildred Dominich,
No.
Debbie Bobbitt,
No.
Sinman Peck,
Yes.
Jesse Tapaya, Renato de los Santos,
Yes.
Nusaiba Mahmood.
Yes.
That's everybody who I have. Oh, it's.
Hey,
Samantha.
Esmeralda,
Uh-huh.
Esmeralda, this is Wes Bowen. I couldn't find the online sign in either. Could you sign me in for Dallas Eagle Forum?
Esmeralda, this is Billy with the
So we'll
city
go
of
ahead and send you in,
Dallas.
Wes, and in your vote, then Wes.
Yes.
Es-
Ms. Bowen,
Aye.
Okay, Esmeralda, this is Billy with the city of Dallas. Do you not see me on your
No.
list?
I got, your representative.
Yeah, I signed in. You should
Yes.
have mine. Can I vote?
Yes, go ahead.
No.
Esmeralda.
Esmeralda.
Guys,
This,
guys, stop.
Sorry.
Let her get through the list.
She's through all the people who signed in, so if you,
She can get the vote, she can ask me to vote after.
This is, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Hello,
Go ahead.
this is Orlando with Dallas ISD. I signed in, but you did not call my name.
Is that form? Did you hit submit?
Yes, I signed the form that was sent in the email initially.
And you helped me sign in, Esmeralda, and you didn't call my name.
Yeah, and this is Robert Elkin. I also signed in and hit submit and I wasn't called.
Oh my
And
God.
Esmeralda, I also
She
submitted.
hasn't gotten through the whole list, guys.
Yes, she did.
I think.
Well,
she
then I
did.
haven't-
So
I didn't
think-
get called
I don't know if
either.
We have a latency issue with the signing in.
That's okay. Just for away from the phone.
Okay,
Signing in online is different than checking in with the QR code.
okay.
Is that not the same thing?
No, it's not.
It's not.
Nice.
That's the.
That's crazy.
The difference.
So if I sign in online, that I'm gonna be here,
But it might not.
it's not the same until I scan the QR code. Is that correct?
I'm
Is
not
that
sure.
correct?
Yes, it is, because that is saying that you're gonna be here, but you might not be here, so we have to make sure that you're here.
Okay, I'm here.
So that's okay. I mean, listen, you know, little tech, we'll work this out. We're not gonna rush anything. So, I think what we want to do first is if you're online and you believe you've signed in, but you haven't been called yet, go ahead and raise your hand so we can see your hand, and then we will call on you. So go ahead and do that right now, and Esmeralda will take a look and see whose hand is raised.
So if she didn't call us, we should raise our hand.
Yeah, you can rest your arm for now. We're doing the online people.
Okay, I got Robert Elkin
Yes.
and Wes Bowen,
Yes.
Billy Johnson, Billy Ray. Orlando,
Yes.
I'm sorry. This is Billy. No. Sorry.
and Orlando, your response was yes.
Yes.
Irma Parker,
No.
okay. Susan Fountain. Susan Fountain. She leave.
We got 7 people with their hands up right now.
I'm trying to unmute. This is Susan Fountain. I vote aye, please.
Um, Listen, can you read the hands that are raised?
It's Dory Crenshaw.
No.
An email address, relkin@march to the polls,
I
maybe?
have Robert Elkin.
Okay. Then Alicia from City of Dallas.
DeSoto.
This is
Sorry,
Alicia
DeSoto.
with the city of DeSoto, and my vote is no.
Then Debbie Torres.
I vote no.
You already had Cynthia Green, right?
Yes.
And Kevin Hale.
Well, we said Cynthia, but we did not get. a
This
vote.
is Cynthia Olguin. It's a no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't have Kevin Hale.
Kevin Hale votes no.
Cindy Groves votes no. My name was called, but I was in the room.
Okay.
And Viridiana from, I think that was Dallas ISD. Is that right?
Yes, it's very Gutierrez. This is Richardson actually, ISD, and as of right now, we are voting to close that down.
Well, no,
Yes.
Correct, correct.
That period?
Yes. Yes.
Is that all the hands raised on this?
Okay.
Thank you.
So anybody in this room who didn't hear their name called, can you go ahead and raise your hand?
I'm sorry, Camila online just raised their hand. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been here since 7-Eleven and I did not sign in until just now with the form, but I vote no.
Bonnie Matthias, going to vote.
I really hate to be a pain, but could you restate the motion?
Sure. The motion is to keep vote center 2507 Richardson Heights Elementary School and to stop using vote center V1501 professional development.
I vote yes.
Anyone else in the room? Yes.
No.
No.
That's in my name.
Got it.
Anyone else online or in the room that hasn't had a chance to vote? Okay, so we want to get our counts.
Okay, so we took a total of 34 votes. And there were 13 yeses and 21 noes.
So the motion fails. Now, we can entertain another motion. Or you can table it.
By default, don't they both stay open by default?
Move to keep both open.
I mean, by default, we just voted that way.
I'd like to make a motion to close the Professional Development Center. I'm sorry, but
That motion just failed.
no, that motion was to, excuse me, then I make a motion to close the Richardson Heights Elementary School and leave the Professional Development Center. I beg your pardon. Thank you for correcting me.
I've heard two motions. I haven't heard a second on either one.
First motion was to keep both open.
Second that.
The motion's been made and seconded to keep both locations open. Discussion.
Did
I'd
somebody
like
on
to
the,
speak against doing that because they're right across the street from each other. It's just unnecessary.
thank you. Irma Parker, didn't someone say that the school was gonna close one of the facilities? Isn't that what somebody said, I thought?
No, I think that she said that there were some conflicts for scheduling some rooms in the professional development center, and so there's gonna be some, maybe some complications with that, the May election.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. That is right.
This is Orlando with Dallas ISD. As one of the entities that has to fork up the funds to man all of these centers, it's just not fiscally responsible to have two centers open that are directly across from the street from each other.
This is
Thank
Amy Niemer, City of Richardson. One of them needs to close. That's the whole purpose of this committee, is to narrow down vote centers that are unnecessary.
Further discussion.
Really, we have a point of order. We're talking about these two specific locations for this May election. Am I correct?
No, it's all elections.
It's not any election.
Any election.
Richardson ISD has made it clear they would prefer that we did not use the PDC. Well, doesn't that have some weight here? Why do we want to force somebody to have an election if that's not what they want to do? When we have somebody across the street.
We don't want to disenfranchise voters.
Okay, so that's the thing. Everybody, we want to make sure everyone gets their chance to speak, so let's see, one person at a time.
Andrea online has had their hand up.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Sorry. I'm sorry. This is Andrea Barrero. So I do agree that one of these should be closed, but I would suggest that we, I mean, given that you could walk from one to the other in a reasonable way, but I would suggest that we wait until they've both been surveyed so we can make sure that one of them has the capacity to absorb the population from the other.
Move to table.
There's been a motion to table previous motion.
Correct.
Did I hear a second?
Second.
So any discussion on the motion to table?
I'm so confused.
No discussion? All those in favor of tabling the motion? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to do some more research. We're going to try to make sure we get this scheduled before the next meeting to 50 survey, and we'll try to get more. I'm going to take on the privilege here to kind of talk about. You guys will start to feel the pain of what I anticipated. And because when we're doing this,
You want to sing for us now?
Water. You need a cocktail.
when we're doing this, what we're seeing is that, you know, on the one hand, we're thinking, oh, well, I don't want to cut out too many locations because we don't want to be short. But then there's two places across the street, and you think, well, for May election, probably we'll be fine. For presidential, I don't know. And so this is what I contemplated, you know, going in. Because I've gone through the same thing. The last thing I want to be is short of locations when we need them. We do not want to have lines. Lines mean people walk away. At the same time, we want to be fiscally responsible. And more, it's more than fiscally responsible. It's, can we man? We want predictability. and this gets back to the talking point of the, what we talked a few weeks ago. Is it better to know that a location is going to be closed rather than closing it the day before the election? And so I want us to be thinking about whether or not we want to, as we, this was one tough decision, but there's going to be many just like this. And just my opinion, those tough decisions become easier when you have a frame of reference thinking, I think this might be an easy question for a May election and a different decision for a November election. So just keep that in mind. And we can revisit that approach if you want at some point. But let's keep going and see what else we can, if there's, go ahead.
Do we revisit this before you turn in all this to the commissioner's court this time? Is there enough time?
Yeah, let's put it this way. We are going to keep going until we run out of time by our May, March 3rd deadline. And we want, hopefully settle things, to have a recommendation to bring to Commissioner's Court on March 7th. But we'll see how we go. And then remember, that was one of the advantages of the dual model, as we said, if we think about, making decisions for May, we can probably do that timely.
Yeah.
If we have to look at all of these locations, getting down to the 400th and the 420th and all that sort of thing, to get through all those locations by March 3rd is going to be tough. Especially, and so that's my line of thinking. So, but like I said, we can keep playing this out for a while and see if we've got some other low hanging fruit that we can make some decisions on. But it seems to me at some point in time, we really have to make this decision between, hey, we're just going to have a single model and we're going to make these votes up or down for a single model, or we're going to make these votes up or down for a dual model.
And what concerns me is I've heard people online and people in this room speak as though we're just making a decision for May, not all Mays, and not even considering the possibility that this could be a permanent closure if we go to a single model. So the quickness to come to a conclusion under the assumption that it's May only is erroneous in this exercise. We need to think about this as potentially a permanent closure that extends into November. It doesn't mean that that's a lock, but that is a possibility. And if we're not looking at both possibilities with equal weight, we're doing ourselves a disservice.
Keep your point well taken. I will say this. Whatever we do in these kind of interim, these temporary votes, if you will, we can always revisit them, because by the time we're done, we're going to vote on a package. And so that package can be amended. This decision we made last week or today at night, we might say, in light of more information, et cetera, we can always change, right? So just keep that in mind. So when we make a vote, it's not like it's a done deal. Go ahead.
Actually, I'm just curious, like, for example, I noticed that voting poll locations are concentrated, like sort of in the center. But as you know, like the houses are built out, right? So I'm just curious, like for example, that Carrollton right there, I see like about 3 green dots. Like what are the what are the chances that, I know we're kind of discussing like what to keep, what not to keep, but what about the possibility of like creating a new polling location?
That's absolutely a possibility. There may be locations where we say, we don't have enough. We've got holes. Let's shop for more. Or, so that's very, and we've already had, I think 2 or 3 different people offer us locations. And Kevin's got a whole army of information, a whole bunch of information to look at other locations too.
You may be closing some poll locations that are really close nearby, but at the same time, we can create completely new locations that you don't see.
And maybe more suitable, right?
Right, more suitable. So I mean, we shouldn't be so scared about closing co-locations that are too close nearby. But we should really think about like creating new locations that are like sparse. So,
And I would say that's definitely true when it comes to a location that's deficient, but especially for ADA. You know, we do not want to disenfranchise someone because they can't get into a location. So if there's an ADA location or a location that's deficient because of ADA, that's when we really need to shop for another location.
I know that Wilmer Hutchins requested early vote locations. Are we getting closer to getting our early vote locations nailed down? I hate to be a pain in the
That's,
ass, you know.
and just as a reminder, for early voting locations, we're likely to keep the same number of locations that we've historically used and more.
Okay.
That we aren't really contemplating any sort of reduction in early voting.
Because I know Wilmer Hutchins and Sunnyvale have both requested to have early vote locations. I think they have municipals. So I just want to make sure that we have that on our radar going into.
Understood. We're looking at those.
Hi, thank you. This is Cynthia from Olguin from the city of Hutchins. And I did notice we just kind of skimmed across the Hutchins Community Center, which was line, what, 142? And now we're on what, we were on line, what, 146? Is that not up for discussion tonight?
I guess my question is, because I wasn't here at the very beginning of the meeting. It's the way we started it last week was we dealt with the reds first. Did we do that tonight?
well, there were no reds at the time, new red.
Okay. And then we went into looking at the oranges. Or no, I'm sorry, then we approved all the greens.
And Hutchins Community Center was part of the green.
Okay, so that was accepted in mass. And I don't know how many locations was that. And so now we're just looking at those that are within 3/4 of a mile of each other, the oranges.
Okay, well, I was just going by the list that was provided to us where we're still, I guess, tentative or undecided? Am I not reading this correct?
So no, that's correct. It's listed as tentative because it has not been surveyed yet, but what we had done, when we talk about the green locations in this group of 150, that includes anything that's tentative or marked as accepted, which means that those ones have been surveyed, or that it is not within the 3/4 mile of another location, but has not been surveyed. So those were all accepted. Anything that's in the light green or the dark green, both were voted on to be accepted.
Okay, so our early voting location, which is our city hall, is further down the list, and that'll be another discussion for another day?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, thoughts about kind of where we're at in the process?
One question, Irma
Irma.
Carter, the town of Addison. How many locations did we have to close at the last election in November? Because we didn't have enough people.
I believe that, well, for which election?
For November?
November, we had a surplus of polling. We had 342 extra poll workers we didn't even use.
Okay, so was it May of last year that we had shortage?
We had shortages in March and May 7th. May 22nd, we were okay.
Okay, so that was a city election, the May 7th.
That's correct.
Okay. And about.
Commissioners Court had voted to go ahead and close down 40. And then there was an additional ones that didn't want to be used. And so I think it was a total of 63 that were closed. And then on election day, we had 8 judges that we couldn't fill. And so.
Yeah, and
so
yes, and that happened in my town, that there was only 2 workers and you finally got somebody to show up halfway. I just don't want that to happen again. I think that's a real concern. I mean, I don't want to disenfranchise anyone, and I think that's something that all cities deal with, not wanting to disenfranchise the people, but when we have a location that can't be filled, that's really puts that's a problem for us.
Understood. Go ahead, Bonnie.
I can say this from experience, several years. Ask your citizens to volunteer to work.
And we have.
That's what we have the problem with. If you don't call us and tell us that you're gonna work, or call them and say, I'm ready to work, we don't know. We can't like cold call you and go, hey, you wanna work?
I have had people cold call me.
Okay,
So,
well,
so
they're not coming from the Democratic Party. So
Well,
just-
and
just
that's
say-
fine, but city secretaries do that. We take classes every year at election school of how to recruit people, so we take care of that.
Okay, great. Then send them to us so we can sign them up and get them to work.
We have a member online, Andrea.
Andrea, go ahead.
Andrea, you still want to speak?
Okay.
I just want to say one thing before we get going. I want to make sure, because I've heard this a couple of times. And when we started this was not the objective. It seems as though a couple of people that were under the impression that the objective is to close some voting centers. The objective is to validate that the number we have is correct. We already have some reduced, some good reasons. But I guess I don't like hearing the objective is to close voting centers.
Elena, I think you're both right, because the stated objective in 2019 was to revisit, to close more locations. My objective is not been that. My objective is to, when we revisit all these locations and look for the best quality locations. And it could be, more, it could be less, it could be the same number. It's finding the best locations to service the voters.
Yeah, we're still at the top turnout locations. We haven't even gotten to the low turnout.
Okay, so I think we're gonna go ahead and move to our next group.
Okay, so this is line number 149. Vote Center 1128, Lake Highlands High School. And it is paired with one we've seen before, line number 3, Adelia Road Branch Library. So just to revisit, Adelia Road Branch Library is a replacement early voting site that we've been using for quite some time. It has been made green in a couple, we reviewed it earlier, and if that in previous meeting, it was green as well. 2022, we made the decision to keep Adelia Road Branch Library and to stop using Lake Highlands High School. We have surveyed Lake Highlands High School. It scored a 93.1 on the survey. Adelia Road Branch Library again was used in 9 out of 10 elections, and Lake Highlands High Schools was used out of 7 out of 10. It was not used in July of 20 or May of 22. For the May elections, the average turnout for Adelia Road Branch Library was 811, and Lake Highlands High School was 104. And in the last election, Adelia Road had 1,724. Lake Highlands High School had 348 voters.
This is Susan Fountain. I'd like to point out that Lake Highlands High School is generally an overflow location for Adelia Branch Library. Since we have closed Wallace Elementary, which is probably equidistant on the east side of the library. And can you confirm that the Highlands North Rec Center has been closed as well, which is across the street from the high school? Is
I
that
just
going
wanted to
to
clarify
remain
that
open?
Wallace Elementary School is not listed as a closure. And I'm sorry, what was the second one?
Wallace Elementary is not considered a closure?
No, and it's not in this group for review yet, but it will come up in the future group.
Okay. The Highlands North Rec Center, which is directly south of Lake Highlands High School. And it's within walking distance, but
That was also another group to review later on.
We
So
haven't,
it's-
we haven't addressed that one yet. Okay. But generally, I would say that these two locations should remain open since they are, one is an overflow for Ardelia Branch Library, so.
That motion, are you making a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to keep them both open. Yes, please.
Okay,
Second.
do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Any discussion online? Okay, we want to vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Motion passes. Next group. Well, can I ask, what is how many we got through? How many pairs do we have?
We just completed the 100, the group of 150, so the top 150.
Excellent. So I don't imagine we want to get into the next 50.
No.
It's not done.
Move to adjourn.
Go ahead. So,
Well, I mean, all of us in this room probably have full-time jobs that we have to be at in the morning. So I would like to make a recommendation that we move on and schedule our next meeting to move into the next group of locations.
sure. And so at the end of the last meeting, we kind of briefed it, we said how to go. How's this process looking? And you guys said, let's keep going. It's working well. My question to you, I'm going to pose the same question. Because remember, we said this at the beginning, the decisions are going to get tougher and tougher every time. Does anybody feel as though we should somehow shift gears a little bit, or do we want to keep going in the exact same process?
Here, would you shift into
Go ahead.
I'm Elaine Campbell Thiak. I do think, even though I don't know what the process would be, I do think we're at a point where we need to look at a larger cluster, because it things like every time you've looked at it, there has been someone who has said, oh, but I do know of another one that's close, or is, you know what I'm saying? So I think we might be at that point. If there's a way to do that. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest the same, that we see bigger layers now than the 50 that we agreed upon last meeting. Maybe a bigger layer.
Okay. Anybody, any other comments online?
Move to adjourn.
I didn't hear that because I want to say some more.
It's not debatable.
I
have a comment online.
Okay, I got it. It was kind of fuzzy. You broke up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to figure out if we're gonna consider new polling locations. Somebody brought that point up earlier. I just wanted to know if we were gonna make time for that.
I think that we.
Not
are
tonight,
always-
but later.
Well, at anytime when you look at these areas, you guys being this, our advisors. If you see an area, you say, hey, I know a location in that same area that would be as good or better. We want to hear about it. And so those are always timely, those suggestions.
Okay, thank you.
But the idea here is that we want to use our existing locations because they're there and they're used to using us. And grade those and eliminate something if it's not suitable for one reason or another. And to find something, and then at the end, whatever number we have, to look for holes, to look for travel, distance travel, things like that. If it's inconvenient for voters, hey, we got a hole here, we gotta find another location. We will do that. And so right now, we're still in the phase of kind of picking the low hanging fruit of, these are, believe it or not, these are still the easy decisions. And so that's why I really, really want us to contemplate. And I think we're gonna begin the next meeting to revisit the idea of what are we doing? Are we deciding for May? Or are we deciding for all elections? I think we have to make that decision. I think you're seeing the difficulty. It's hard to make a decision when you're not sure what you're voting on. And so, let's really think through that hard. If you got any other suggestions in the meantime on how to conduct the meeting. Especially, this is a large group, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of location. There's, we're doing online, and in person. It's just a lot to try to manage. And so, and if there's anything else that you want to see, I think what we saw this week is we provided you guys with a lot.
What is suggesting an earlier time? Y'all open to that? No, yes?
Yeah, earlier than 7. Yeah.
Not earlier than 6.
So there's 3 comments online about an earlier meeting. Someone agreed with that, and then a third person said, agree much earlier and meet earlier and longer. And then it was thrown out there of 6 to 9. So add an hour, do 3-hour meetings.
I have to say, and I've said it earlier, there's a difference between the city secretary point of view in her city or his city. Because it's a different group of people that vote at city elections in May versus what you're doing at the primary. And if you look at the list of the people that vote in November and primaries, it's a whole different group of people because a lot of them do not vote in the local election. So there's going to be a difference there, and we need to take that into consideration. And we're getting bogged down. If these are the easy ones, heck, we're never going to. We're going to just move in because we're going to be here forever. But we need to come up with something, an easier way to do this where we can compromise, or I don't know I'm looking towards you to come up with some kind of solution. But there's a difference in the thinking versus the elections in November and May. It's just totally different.
Any other comments? I think the radio's clearing up a little bit. Did I hear someone online say something earlier? They had a motion.
A motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
That was the one I heard. I didn't think.
Yeah, that was mine. That was mine. Motion to adjourn.
Boy, taking credit for it.
The motion is seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Aye.
Bye.
One thing that we didn't do was set our next meeting.
Oh, it's the 22nd.
I believe, well, Wednesday or Thursday night, what works on that?
Stay on the agenda.
Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm thinking, 6 o'clock is tough for people to get into traffic.
To be in person is hard.
It is.
If we went 6:30 to 9, would that work?
No,
Not tonight.
no.
6:30 to 9:30, make it a good 3 hours.
I think we can let her be 30 to 9, and if we're in the groove and we're feeling like we can keep going, but I don't want to keep, I want to see your stage.
So you're saying on a Wednesday and not Thursday?
Next Wednesday. 6:30. I wanted to be on.
During the day meeting works for me.
All right, thanks everyone. See you next week, and I really appreciate you guys helping out. This has been great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also just want to say as you walk out the door that online, the website, we're going to keep that interactive map as well. We'll be updating the spreadsheet with information from this meeting as well.
Thank you.
It's not a good news or what? Stop what you're thinking. Just want to be your way.
Let's make it right. He's over at Buddy.
I don't want to.
He will be glad to
Turn off 100.
I didn't want to tell you.
Let's see. That location.
Yes, because people get
Ants.
in one place and.
Ants.